Sup guys, it's EcBoy from TeamCalamity. This is another rulings video, this time on skill drain and other effects that negate effect monsters' effects. Just because it's pretty basic, but I've had a few people I know asking me about why skill drain negates certain cards and stuff like Effect Veiler and Forbidden Chalice negate other things, and why some are completely impervious to both. So yeah, basically, skill drain only negates the effects of face-up effect monsters on the field. So, like, if I summoned Tour Guide or something and activated its effect, skill drain, because it's a continuous effect, it doesn't like activate. So like, if I summoned Tour Guide and I was like, yeah, I want to use its effect, it wouldn't go skill drain chain link 2. It would just be that as chain link 1, and then at the resolution of the chain, skill drain comes in and negates, says no. So basically, the important thing about skill drain is that it reads face up effect monsters, so it has to be face up at resolution for it to be negated by skill drain. So stuff that has cost of tributing itself, like Stardust Dragon for example, that gets past skill drain because Stardust activates its effect in response to something else, tributes itself, so as a cost. So then when the chain resolves, Stardust isn't face up, so it's not affected by skill drain. That's basically how that works. Skill drain only negates the effects of face up monsters. Stuff like Veiler and Chalice, on the other hand, they just say its effect is negated until the end phase, basically. So assuming that these two are activated and they resolve, so the monster's effect is negated. Say they targeted Stardust. Chalice and Veiler negate the effects of monsters that activate or apply on the field. That's the ruling for the two of them. So even if I tribute Stardust to negate something, if the Stardust had been chaliced or veilered prior to the effect being activated, Stardust still won't negate. Its effect won't go through. The reason being that Stardust's effect, even though it tributes itself and all of that, but the effect activates and applies on the field. So Stardust's effect is negated. That's also why if you like use Debris Dragon to bring back Lone Fire, you can't tribute the Lone Fire and special summon a plant, because Debris Dragon reads its effect is negated, and that means that if the effect activates or applies on the field, which Lone Fire Blossom does, then you're not going to get the effect. However, there are some cards that bypass both because they activate in areas other than the field. So like Dandelion, for example, the reason why it can be brought back with Debris and the 2 tokens come out is because its effect doesn't activate or apply in the graveyard. It activates when it's sent to the graveyard. Oh, sorry, I meant that it doesn't activate or apply on the field, but it activates in the graveyard. So say someone is silly and Veilers my Dandelion, then attacks over it. It doesn't activate on the field. Like Stardust Dragon does activate on the field. It activates while it's face up on the field. Dandelion has to be sent to the graveyard in order for its effect to activate. So yeah, I hope that clarifies things a bit. Like basically, if it activates while it's face up, like Tour Guide of the Underworld does, or Armed Wing does, or something, then it will be negated by skill drain. Skill drain kicks in at resolution, doesn't activate. It's like Royal Decree. Royal Decree doesn't activate in response to a trap, it just negates it at resolution. So Tour Guide would be negated. However, it doesn't negate stuff like Stardust, which it isn't face up at the resolution of the effect, so skill drain can't do anything about it. It also can't negate stuff like Dandelion and like Mystic Tomato and stuff. Veiler and Forbidden Chalice stop the effects of monsters that activate or apply on the field. So stuff like Stardust and like Thunder King Ryo, they, assuming that you send it to the graveyard to negate a special summon, they both activate and apply on the field. Even though they're not on the field at the resolution of the effect is still being applied on the field, and it activates on the field. So it's negated by these two. However, stuff that activates in the graveyard, these are just a few examples. Stuff that is activated when they're sent to the graveyard, they activate in the graveyard, not on the field. So they're not affected. Basically, another thing is like if you have Macrocosmos face up, like you can still tribute Stardust if Macrocosmos is face up, or Dimensional Fissure, and its effect will still activate. It just won't come back. Same with stuff like that. So, but these won't, because they have to be sent to the graveyard. Their effect starts in the graveyard. So yeah, hope that clarified a couple of things. This is EcBoy, and see you around.